It was a dark, rainy night. The wind howled through the trees, creating an eerie symphony of creaking branches and rustling leaves. I was alone in my old, creaky house, seeking refuge from the storm outside. As I huddled by the fireplace, trying to find comfort in its flickering glow, I heard a strange noise coming from the attic. At first, I tried to dismiss it as mere imagination, the product of an overactive mind in such gloomy conditions. But the noise persisted, growing louder and more unsettling with each passing minute. It sounded like footsteps, slow and deliberate, as if someone, or something, was slowly making its way across the attic floor. Fear gripped my heart, and I mustered the courage to investigate. Armed only with a flickering candle, I ascended the creaky staircase that led to the attic. The rhythmic pitter-patter of raindrops on the roof intensified my unease as I approached the attic door. With trembling hands, I slowly pushed the door open, and the musty smell of old wood and dust filled my nostrils. The dim light of the candle barely penetrated the darkness within. As I took a step inside, the noise ceased abruptly. An eerie silence enveloped the attic. Feeling an inexplicable chill down my spine, I took a few more cautious steps, the floorboards groaning under my weight. The candlelight danced erratically, casting grotesque shadows on the walls as if they were trying to warn me of the horrors that lay ahead. And then, out of the darkness, a whisper reached my ears. "Get out." The voice was barely audible, but it sent shivers down my spine. My heart pounded in my chest, and a cold sweat broke out on my forehead. Ignoring the warning, I continued forward, determined to uncover the source of the strange sounds. The air grew thicker, and an oppressive feeling of malevolence surrounded me. I started to regret my decision to venture further into the attic. Just then, the candle flame flickered wildly, as if something had disturbed the air around me. Panic set in, and I turned to flee, but as I did, the door slammed shut with a force that made the whole house shudder. I was trapped. In the dim light, I caught a glimpse of a shadowy figure standing before me. Its eyes glowed like red embers, and a malevolent grin spread across its face. My throat went dry, and I struggled to find my voice. "Who are you?" I finally managed to stammer. The figure remained silent for a moment before speaking with a voice that sounded like a chorus of tortured souls. "I am the restless spirit of a tortured soul, bound to this attic by an ancient curse. For years, I have sought release, and now that you have come, I shall take possession of your body to escape this wretched existence." Terrified, I tried to retreat, but an invisible force pushed me forward, closer to the malevolent entity. My mind raced, searching for a way to break free from its grasp. In a desperate attempt to fight back, I pulled out a small crucifix that hung around my neck and held it in front of me. "In the name of all that is holy, I command you to leave this place," I cried, my voice quivering. The spirit recoiled, its eyes widening with anger and fear. The glow in its eyes faded, and the malevolent grin turned into a grimace of torment. For a moment, it seemed as though my plea had worked. But then, with a deafening roar, the entity lunged at me, knocking the crucifix from my hand. Its chilling grip closed around my throat, cutting off my breath. I felt myself losing consciousness, slipping into the darkness. Just as I thought all was lost, a blinding light erupted from the crucifix, bathing the attic in a warm glow. The spirit screamed in agony and was forced to release its hold on me. The light grew brighter and brighter until it consumed the malevolent entity, banishing it back to the depths of the unknown. Gasping for breath, I crawled towards the door, which now stood open. The rain had stopped, and a faint glimmer of dawn touched the horizon. I stumbled out of the attic, feeling both relief and a profound sense of awe. Since that dreadful night, I have never entered the attic again. The malevolent spirit was gone, but I knew that the curse might still linger. The memory of that night haunts me, a reminder that there are forces beyond our understanding, waiting in the shadows, and that sometimes, we must confront the darkness to find the light. Months passed after that harrowing encounter in the attic, and life returned to a semblance of normalcy. Yet, the memory of the malevolent spirit lingered in the back of my mind, and I found myself drawn to researching the history of my old house. I visited libraries and archives, searching for any clues that might shed light on the curse that had haunted its walls. My inquiries led me to a local historian who had spent years studying the area's folklore and legends. As I shared my chilling experience with him, He listened intently, his eyes filled with both curiosity and concern. He revealed that my house had a dark and tragic history, shrouded in secrets that had been passed down through generations. According to the historian, the house had once belonged to a family that had fallen on hard times. Desperate to lift the curse that seemed to befall them, they had turned to forbidden practices, dabbling in the dark arts and trying to summon powerful spirits to grant them their wishes. However, their endeavors had only invited malevolent entities into their home, bringing about tragedy and suffering. As the historian narrated the story, it became clear that the curse had persisted over the decades, claiming the lives of those who had dared to live within the house's walls. The malevolent spirit I encountered in the attic was likely one of the tormented souls who had been trapped there, seeking release from its tortured existence. Determined to break the curse once and for all, I asked the historian if there was any way to lay the spirits to rest. He explained that it might be possible through a ritual of cleansing and redemption, but it would require great courage and spiritual strength. With the historian's guidance, I began to prepare for the ritual. It would involve confronting the lingering spirits and offering them forgiveness and compassion, allowing them to find peace and release from their earthly attachments. On the night of the ritual, the moon hung high in the darkened sky, and the wind whispered softly as if the elements themselves were aware of the momentous task ahead. I gathered the necessary items, candles, and ritualistic tools, setting the stage for the cleansing ceremony. The historian joined me, and together, we ventured into the attic, the very heart of the house's malevolence. Armed with ancient prayers and incantations, we initiated the ritual, calling out to the tormented souls that lingered within the walls. As the candles flickered and the incense smoke swirled around us, the atmosphere in the attic changed. A profound stillness settled in, and a sense of presence surrounded us. In the dim light, I saw faint apparitions, spectral echoes of the suffering souls. As the ritual progressed, the air seemed to vibrate with energy, and I could feel a sense of release building within the attic. The spirit's anguish was palpable, but so was their longing for peace. The historian and I continued to chant the prayers, our voices intertwining in a symphony of hope and redemption. The flickering candlelight grew steadier, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted gradually. It was as if the spirits were gradually accepting our offerings, finding solace in our words. Then, in a moment that felt like eternity, the attic filled with a brilliant light, dazzling and pure. The spirits' wails turned into soft sighs, and the apparitions began to fade away, one by one, as if ascending to a higher plane of existence. At that very moment, a profound sense of relief washed over me, and tears welled in my eyes. The curse that had haunted the house for generations was finally broken. The malevolent spirit that had once terrorized me had found its peace, and the house felt lighter, free from the shackles of its dark past. The historian and I left the attic, knowing that our work was done. As we descended the creaky staircase, a warm breeze blew through the open windows, carrying with it a scent of freshness and renewal. In the days and weeks that followed, the house underwent a remarkable transformation. The heavy atmosphere that had once weighed on its rooms lifted, and a sense of serenity settled in. The dark legends that had surrounded the house for so long began to fade away, replaced by stories of redemption and hope. As the years passed, the old, creaky house became a place of light and warmth. Families moved in, and children's laughter echoed through the halls. The haunted house was no more, replaced by a home that offered love and solace to those who dwelled within its walls. And as for me, I had learned a valuable lesson that dark, rainy night, that sometimes, we must confront the darkness to find the light. Through courage, compassion, and understanding, we can break the chains that bind us and release the spirits that linger in torment. Though the memory of that night still lingered in my mind, it no longer held fear. Instead, it served as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is hope. And as I looked out at the rain washing away the remnants of the storm, I knew that the darkness would never fully conquer the light as long as we chose to face it with bravery and love.